So I decided to burn my car down with my future wife in it.
Yeah.
Pretty much. How it went.
And we saw an angel and
Yeah.
got married a week later.
Got married a week. And then wrecked another car. So I broke my phone the other day. Had all of our footage, or a lot of our footage on it. And we still wanted to post a video. Our desire behind telling our story and doing this channel is to help to encourage people, because the way we live is pretty against the grain in this day and age. Encourage people, let them know it can be done, and it can be pretty awesome.
Yep.
So that's a lot of why we're doing what we're doing.
So we said in the last video that we got married at 18, 19.
Yep. Really young.
Really young, and we had no money.
Yep.
We got to lay the foundation of actually where we were when we got married, how broke we were.
How destitute. So I decided to burn my car down with my future wife in it.
Yeah.
Pretty much. How it went.
And we saw an angel and got married a week later.
Got married a week. And then wrecked another car. So
yeah, for real.
Yeah, I had an old Oldsmobile Achieva, sea mist green, very cool car. That's why she married me, actually.
Absolutely.
And we were moving all of my crap. She wasn't moving her crap in yet, but moving my crap into the apartment, and I am locking up, and I look back, still a bunch of crap in the car, and also my beautiful fiance. Well, she's on her phone doing this number, and smoke is billowing out from underneath the hood. There's orange flames like reflecting off of the smoke.
I'm completely oblivious.
She has no clue. And so I start screaming, probably like a girl, I don't really remember, but I was making lots of noise. That was my main goal, and I achieved it. Knocked it out of the park.
Yep.
Hannah looks up, sees smoke, jumps out, and I didn't mention this in the other two videos, but you impressed the socks off of me, because she's like, hey, there's stuff in this car that we kind of don't want to lose. So she starts pulling stuff out of the car. Like, I didn't even say anything to her. She just starts pulling stuff out of the car. Rockstar move. My first thought is, I need to get this car away from this garage, because it's going to burn down my landlord's garage, and then I'm going to be really hosed.
Yeah. So
I jump in. That was after I opened the hood and flames almost burnt my face off, and I decided, okay, this isn't going to work, so we're just going to move the car and let it burn. Call the fire department. So I move the car, get out of the car, and then no sooner than that happens, this dude, guy, cherubim, angel, whatever the frick, comes running across the street with a bucket of
a 5-gallon.
Yeah.
A 5-gallon bucket
of powder from fire extinguishers, like the contents of fire extinguishers, right? And he's like, I don't even know how I know that's what it was. I don't remember if that's what he said or what.
He said it was.
But he's like, this will work. He comes running over. Never saw this guy again in the 2 years we lived in that house.
Hadn't seen him before, never saw him again.
So whatever, I don't know.
Well, and the weird thing is like the amount of time, I mean, from the point that
he had this bucket on standby.
It would have had to be by the front door.
It was like pocket keys bucket. Like,
yeah, because I don't know how he would have gotten there so fast.
Hit my funny bone.
I don't know. I'm convinced.
So he comes running over. I hold the, oh my gosh, my arm's ruined now. I hold the hood of the car up with a baseball bat that I had or found or something, and he starts fluffing this stuff in the engine compartment and puts the fire out miraculously. Very impressive. So the car's toast.
Yep.
Say bye, thanks, or whatever. I don't really remember him leaving even, so he probably just flew away. I swear, we never saw this guy again. Ever.
Weird.
Super strange.
And we saw the people come and go out of the house.
Yep.
It wasn't him.
Just not that guy.
I don't know. So bizarre.
Anyways.
Man, we should have gone and knocked and asked if he... Hey.
Maybe he died right after that and we just didn't see him haul off.
Okay, this is going...
I don't know. He was in Angel or he died. One of the two. Anyhow. Car burns down, so we don't have a car now. And Hannah did have a car at the time, right? So I fixed that. Yeah, I wrecked that like a week after we got married.
Absolutely.
Yep. I fell asleep and rear-ended somebody up in the city and smashed the car up. That was pretty cool. So then...
We had no car and no money.
No car, no money. Very broke. So how broke were we, babe?
We were so broke.
Like, want to go to
Taco Bell? You want to eat off of that 79-cent what did they have? Like some crazy like scent
Yeah.
menu.
Dude, yes,
You could get a taco for
potato,
70.
the potato burrito.
Yeah.
So
You could get
good.
some of those.
I don't eat Taco Bell
Not
anymore,
us.
but you know, like most people
Too
have
poor.
like a jar of coins or like a bottle of coins. We did not have that because we were always using it for stuff. That's how broke we were.
So sad and crazy.
It was pretty crazy.
In the
So
world. I don't know
we
how
get-
we made it.
we get going into our broke young marriage, and then I get a new job.
We were living in a 1-bedroom apartment in a
It's
2-story
like
house.
$400, or I
Mhm.
think it was under $500, and it included almost all the utilities, so it was very cheap.
Yeah.
And we have really fond memories there.
There are some of my favorite memories. I was the happiest. Crazy. I wasn't that stressed. Like, I mean, what do you have to be stressed about? You have nothing. So it's just...
Didn't have a car. So got a new job because the landscaping job was seasonal.
Mm-hmm.
So I started working at a gas station distribution center. So it's like the warehouse that supplies all this stuff.
Yeah.
And start out at $9.50 an hour. Not awesome. And it's like 32 hours a week. So we still have no money.
I was working.
Yep.
I was working.
Yeah.
So I had some to contribute to it, but not like insane amount.
But we were still very low on cash.
Mm-hmm. Especially when you start that far behind.
Yeah. Like
you
burn down and wreck both your cars.
Yeah, and so you have to save up just to get your car, right?
Yeah. So
your grandpa and grandma had given
my
us.
grandpa and grandma bailed us out big time. They gave us their old Buick LeSabre. It was like, they bought a new one, and so they gave us the one that they had been driving. It was a huge blessing. They both took us to Dairy Queen and told us, hey, we want to give you our car. And we're like, what? Big shocker.
Deal.
I will never forget that.
Mm-mm.
So they gave us a car. So now we have a car. And I start working my way up at the distribution center, and I started actually making some pretty decent money.
Mm-hmm.
Like, probably more than doubled my money.
And to some people, it might not seem like a ton of money, but when you don't have any kind of debt and your rent is $450 a month, it's a lot
Starts
of
to
it's
make
a lot
a
of
difference
money.
fast.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I was able to save up $300,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, "Oh my gosh, we have $300 that is like not going somewhere."
Yeah.
What's like we've made it. We're good. We're done.
And our next goal was 1,000.
Yeah. So, but $300 of breathing room was huge for us.
And I had a medical procedure done, and we paid cash
we paid
for
cash
that.
for that. Saved up the money.
Mm-hmm.
It was crazy. So I worked at that job for like 6-ish years.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And during that time, you started a business.
Yeah. I took a tax return that we got, and I started a business. That's like $1,000-ish tax return, and I started a business, and I learned a lot from that. Didn't make a gob of money.
We lived off of it for a while.
I learned a ton. I learned a ton.
We also got a taste of being self-employed.
That was the big thing.
Huge.
The freedom that comes with that, and it really inspired us to homeschool. We knew that I wanted to be around more when our kids were starting to go to school.
We wanted our kids to be able to be involved in whatever you were doing at work, so that we could.
That was
teach
actually
them
the
more hands-on.
main impetus behind starting the business, was that I would have something that I could bring my kids into to work with me on.
But back up, when we were at we moved out of that 1-bedroom home into a 2-bedroom house, 3-bedroom home, and you started the business down in the basement there.
Yeah.
Little basement.
Yeah, like I'm 6 foot tall, and it was like 6 foot tall.
Yeah. He started the business down there, and we had our first kid. Lewis was born then. And then we moved out to property and rented.
From her brother.
From some property there. And you continued to do Minuteman Defense, and you were working at Gtribe. And by that time, he was making really good money. Yeah.
Pretty good.
I mean, again, for being debt-free and not having a lot. And then he was outside working, and he stepped on a nail.
I was building a chicken coop out of like an old hog shed thing, and I stepped on this massive, rusty, poopy nail. I mean, I stomped on it.
It was bad.
It ruined my whole situation.
You were in the hospital for 24, 48, 24?
Well, so they gave me antibiotics
Mm-hmm.
at like an emergency care or whatever, and they didn't touch it. My foot swells up. I was in for the freaking worst pain. Makes me have shivers just thinking about it. So they put me in overnight to give me intravenous antibiotics, and I was out of work for like 6-ish weeks, quite a while. I finally get back to work, and
while you were out of work, we found out that we were expecting our second. Felix.
Yeah.
We were in a really hard spot.
Yeah, well, because we didn't know, since I was out of work, we didn't know what I was going to get paid. I ended up getting, like, reimbursed. I don't remember how that worked out, but...
It all worked out like it always does, but it was still stressful.
Yeah, it was stressful.
And we were in a very big transition stage because Skyler was extremely unhappy, and we've always...
hating my life.
Happiness is way more important to us than money. And so we knew we had to do something. And honestly, that's kind of what caused us and really led into our whole entire future. Like, that one decision.
I wish I could have figured it out without stepping on a nail.
Me too.
Dang it.
But I mean, really, that is what changed our whole entire
I'm going to have to
course.
Double down on my prayer and make sure that I'm not missing something right now so I don't step on another nail. That was so terrible.
It'd be nice to have it be a little smoother and not stressful.
Gosh, yeah. So that booted us into the next phase. So I go back to work. I'm there one day, and I'm like, you know what? This sucks. I'm not doing this anymore. I tell my coworkers, hey, I'm not coming back to work.
You
tomorrow.
didn't have a job lined up either.
Didn't have a plan. I just knew that this was not going to work at all. So I quit. And the biggest thing that came from that was I cashed in the 401k and just set it aside and saved it. We didn't spend it. And I got a job at a gun shop, which was not a good situation either, but it was a place to land. I thought it was a good idea at first, and then kind of panned out to not be so much. But I had my holster business going at that time, and that helped with it a little bit. And then we started finding out that the house we were in was probably going to sell. Mm-hmm. And we were like, okay, we really need to find a house.
And that all leads into our previous video that we made and the decisions that we made up until that point. It is my favorite part of the whole entire thing is seeing where we started and how far we've come, and the fact that we had the opportunity to grow and go through all of that together. You're my favorite person.
I love you so much. I'm glad you still say that 12 years later. Yeah. So number 4 just woke up. But that's a little bit of our story. We will keep probably sharing every once in a while about that, and we really do want to get into like some more like tips and tricks and like some
thinking outside the box.
Thinking outside the box and looking for opportunity and living frugally versus living cheaply and things like that will help other people and inspire other people to maybe choose a slightly different path than what society tells you have to do. You have to get tons of student loans. You have to go into tons of debt to keep up with your neighbors. We are just trying to share how it's possible to live debt-free and how we've done it. And it's not the only way by any means.
Although it's not always easy, it's totally worth it.
Well, and there's so much freedom that comes with it. And right now, I think more than ever, that seems super valuable to people. The ability to not have to have a boss and not to have to, all that stuff.
Adhere to
certain rules and procedures and whatnot. So, anyway.
If you can help anyone out, especially in this day and age, I'm going to be bold and say it, with everything that is going on, if we can help anyone out step outside of their box and their normal job and be able to think outside of the box, set goals.
If you're up against the wall right now, if you start deciding, okay, this isn't working, I've got to do something different, I've got to look for an alternative, start a side hustle now. Find something you can start and start growing it into a way to make some extra money. And if you're in debt, take that money and use it to pay down your debt. And while you're building that side hustle, you're building a network and you're learning and you're figuring out what works for you. And then you have a fallback plan. So if you decide to quit your job or you get fired or whatever happens, you're not posed if you've lost your job or whatever. Perfect example of a scenario where somebody goes, well, I guess we're going to try this because we've got nothing left to lose. And it turns out to be, the best thing that's happened to them.
The very best. I mean, you never know.
A couple years down the road, they're like, man, I wish I would have done this sooner.
Yep. You never know until you take the chance.
Yep.
Like,
what's the worst that can happen? ask yourself that and actually think about it. What is really the worst thing that can happen? Because a lot of times it's not as scary as it seems on its face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's the kind of how we started off, like how poor we were, like did not own a thing, kind of poor.
And we have some regrets, and we'll share those down the road, but none of them are like catastrophic. And it was mostly just a learning process that we had to go through to get where we are now. It's not like, and everybody needs that.
But we don't grow. So we hope to just encourage some other people out there that if you're on the fence, go for it.
You can do it.
You totally can.
You really can. So.
Hopefully that recorded. Too soon.
Go, no.
No, I see it.